Good afternoon. I just want to take a second here to welcome everyone to the 2015 Chicago Blackhawks training camp. We'll get to a Q&A session here shortly with our seated guests, as well as the other select few players. But to begin today's press conference, I want to turn it over to Blackhawks President and CEO John McDonough for an opening statement. Following John's opening statement, Patrick Kane will share his opening statement. We will then open it up to questions for Patrick Kane.
The Chicago Blackhawks organization prides itself in trying to make calculated and deliberate decisions based on information we have at with his legal representatives who are very close to this matter. We have decided to have Patrick join us for training camp here at the University of Notre Dame. Furthermore, we have the utmost respect for the legal process and will have no further comment on this issue at this time. Thank you.
Patrick.
This has been an incredibly difficult time for many people. I cannot apologize enough for the distraction this has caused my family, my teammates, this incredible organization, and of course our fans. While I have too much respect for the legal process to comment on an ongoing matter, I am confident that once all of the facts are brought to light, I will be absolved of having done nothing wrong.
Thank you, John and Patrick. Appreciate that. We'll now open it up for questions. As I said a little bit earlier, if you have a question, please raise your hand. We have a few new folks in here. We would like you to state your name and affiliation. Just raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you. Chris, if you want to just kick us off here. These questions will be for Patrick as it relates to hockey only, please. As you know, it is an ongoing legal matter, so we only need to focus on questions as it relates to hockey. Questions for Patrick? Chris, please get us started.
Patrick, Chris Cook of the Tribune, Chicago. I want to specifically ask you about the case, but do you feel like you've embarrassed the organization by having gone through this and all the media attention it's getting?
You know, Chris, I appreciate your question. You know, I know there's a lot of different things and a lot of different questions you guys have, but I have to stay you know, confident in myself and the legal process. So you know, I understand the question, but at the same time, I'd like to you know, keep it to hockey questions only. I feel like I've said my statement and discussed it from the outset. So if you guys have any hockey questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Dion, back here when we get you a mic.
Dion Miller, ABC 7. Patrick, how difficult has it been to just focus on hockey in the midst of so many things going on around you?
Well, I'm focused. I'm happy to be here at camp. I mean, it's an unbelievable venue here at Notre Dame. There's a lot of history in this venue, and I know we've had some success coming back here the past couple of years. So it's good to be back here again. I'm happy to see all my teammates and you know, get done with our fitness testing today. And it seems like we have a fun weekend ahead of us. So I'm looking forward to enjoying that.
Ryan Baker from CBS 2 Chicago. Patrick, what kind of hockey shape are you in? And how would you describe where you are mentally heading into camp?
No, I mean, my body feels really good. I'm excited with where I'm at. I'm healthy. That's always a good thing leading into the hockey season. So, looking forward to having a good camp. Try to get better every day, and hopefully peak before the season starts.
Go ahead, in the back.
Evan Fitzgerald, Fox 32. Patrick, how much have you had a chance to talk to your other teammates over the offseason, and what kind of things have they talked to you about?
I saw them all. I've talked to them all. You know, they've been just like teammates would be. You know, it's always good to see them after a long summer. I think we all go through the same thing in that regard, and it's good to see your teammates. You know, talk to them about their past summers and what has been going on, what they're looking forward to, and what their shape is heading into the season. So that's something you'll do after every summer.
Go ahead, Brian.
Brian Sanlow, Chicago Sun-Times. Patrick, how do you think the fans are going to respond to you?
You know, like I said, I think this is, you know, one of those situations that, you know, I've addressed from the outset. You know, I appreciate the question and appreciate where you're coming from, but, you know, I can't really discuss too much legally at this time.
David Hoff, Chicago Tribune. Patrick, so if you respect everything about this process, did you consider, how close did you come to not reporting here out of respect to the legal process and the people involved?
You know, like I said, I appreciate the question. I know you guys have a lot of questions. You know, I'd love to answer them. I'd love to get in front of them and face them, but, you know, this just isn't the right time to do it. And, you know, with my respect, the Blackhawks' respect for the legal process and what's going on, you know, we really can't comment about that right now.
On the right.
Mike Harrington, Buffalo News. Two quick things, Patrick. First of all, what did you do this summer in the last month to work out? Because obviously you weren't able to go around town and work out and play in the Fatty League, for example, you would normally do. And secondly, to that question about not reporting, that's hockey related from the standpoint of would you be at camp or not. Was that even discussed in your mind that maybe it would be better to not create the distraction at camp for your teammates?
Well, throughout the summer, I did what I would do any other summer. I worked out in my basement at home, followed the Blackhawks program that they gave me, and you know, feel like I'm in really good shape heading into camp. So I'm excited about that. And you know, your other question, like I said, I appreciate the question. I really do. I feel bad that I can't answer that at this time, but you know, I'm
the distraction, as you put it.
I'm excited to be here at camp, just like all the players. It's good to see your teammates, especially after a long summer, and I think we're all excited to be here. We're excited to be at training camp, looking forward to the new season ahead of us, and you know, trying to do what no team has done in a long time, and that's repeat. So looking forward to that.
On the left.
Patrick over here at Siafa Lewis, NBC5 in Chicago. We know how dedicated and driven you are. How do you go about dealing with issues in the cases they arise that may have to pull you from hockey during the season?
I mean, like I said, I can't answer that right now. I really do appreciate your question and know where you're coming from, but at this point in time, to speculate about certain things, it's
element here to escape from whatever may be going on in your life and just to be around everybody.
Yeah, I'm excited about being here at camp. I'm really happy to be here at Notre Dame. Like I said, it's a great venue with so much history, and we've had some success coming here in the past, and it seems like it's worked. So, you know, I pride myself on
You going to stop drinking?
Hey, Mark, I appreciate the question. I wish I could answer those questions right now, but there is a legal matter going on that I can't answer that.
Patrick, Jeremy Ross from CBS 2. Can you talk to us about when you got the green light to attend camp? What were the discussions that would allow you to attend camp? And then finally, how do you not be a distraction? What do you do to prevent being a distraction for your teammates going forward?
Well, I got the invitation to camp, I think, just like all my other teammates. So that was my invitation, and I reported just like everyone else. So, like I said, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited about you know, being here at the start of camp, and obviously looking forward to the weekend.
We'll do two more here, Sam, and then David.
Patrick, Sam Panayotovich, WGN, the three guys to your left, obviously very important to have in your corner. What have you learned from them as far as a support standpoint as you've gone through this?
I feel like they've always had my back. They've always, been there, just like they've been for all my teammates and everyone inside the Blackhawks organization. That's just the way we view ourselves. We view ourselves as a family, and it's always nice to have their support.
If we can get a mic over to David. Oh, right there, right, Dave.
Patrick, to all the people who believed that this stuff was behind you, do you feel like you let them down? Do you feel like you let the organization down this summer?
I appreciate the question, David. I'd like to answer that, but at this time with the legal process ongoing, it's just not a question I can answer. So I appreciate it. I'm sorry I can't answer it, and thank you for the question, though.
All right, thank you, Patrick, very much. We'll excuse Patrick here. Alrighty. So at this time, we'll get to the other three Blackhawks guests that are seated here to my left. We'll begin with an opening statement from John McDonough, Vice President and GM Stan Bowman, and Head Coach Joel Quenneville, followed by a Q&A with all three of them. So, John, please take it away.
Thanks, Brandon. I think as everybody up here feels, on behalf of Rocky Wirtz and the Chicago Blackhawks, we're thrilled to be back at the University of Notre Dame. We've been down here for 3 years and have won 2 Stanley Cups. It's also good to be on this campus when the Fighting Irish are 2-0 and they battled Georgia Tech on Saturday, a game which we will be in attendance. It's been a very short summer. Short summers are good for our business. We won the Stanley Cup at home in Chicago on June the 15th, and here we're reporting to camp at Notre Dame on the 17th. And the Stanley Cup has been paraded all over North America, all over Europe, and as many of you have witnessed, it has brought joy to hundreds of thousands of people. It's a great experience. Our organization has enjoyed a good run, a very, very, very good run. But this is a very hungry, humble group of players, coaches, and management, and we feel that we're going to be measured over decades. One obvious point of reference that is very fulfilling to all of us is that I believe we have the premier owner in professional sports in Rocky Wirtz. He has created a culture that we all prosper within, and it's pretty much above and beyond plus on how we treat our players, staff, and our fans. I'm extremely, extremely proud of Stan Bowman and Joel Quenneville. For me, what makes them successful? Consistency. Communication. I think sometimes it gets lost a little bit that these are the Camelot Blackhawks, that things are seamless and every discussion is fluid and easy, and I can guarantee you, and hopefully this brings a smile to the two gentlemen to my left, no day is easy. There are constant battles, and we are just striving to do everything we can to get it right. Titles be damned, let's win. Hiring. I'm so proud that these gentlemen understand the importance that if you hire well, you have a very good chance of being successful. I feel that I have hired well. I feel that they have hired well. And we've all been fortuitous for that. Work ethic is incredible. Nobody is going to outwork Joel or Stan. And I believe it when Joel says, nobody loves winning more than I do. And there's also a very important process and a system within our organization on how decisions are made. We have very, very, very tough decisions every day. But there's a good system and process on how we go through that, and we've never deviated from that. We're not going to take a different route, and it's been very healthy. The results speak for themselves. 7 consecutive playoff appearances, 5 Western Conference final appearances, and 3 Stanley Cup championships. And the ability to change and evolve really defines our industry. 6 players from last year's roster are gone, but this is a golden opportunity for many of our young players to step up and to earn a coveted spot on this roster with the defending Stanley Cup champions. I'm very proud of our relationship with our American Hockey League club, the Rockford IceHogs, headed by Mark Bernard. 22 players have come through Rockford in the last few years and have won a Stanley Cup with the Chicago Blackhawks. Another philosophy that I adhere to is continuity, but not continuity for the sake of continuity. Continuity tethered to achievement. Joel Quenneville is in his 8th season as head coach. Mike Kitchen, his 6th season as assistant coach. Stan Bowman, entering his 7th season as vice president and general manager. Al McIsaac in his 6th season as vice president of hockey operations. Jay Blunk in his 8th season as executive vice president, and Norm McIver in his 4th season as assistant general manager. There has to be a common thread. There has to be a philosophy. There has to be continuity. There has to be consistency. And when people ask me in closing to define our one goal that we talk about all the time, what does one goal mean? What are the tentacles of one goal? What are the on-ice expectations that I talk to Stan and Joel about all the time? Be a perennial playoff team and put yourself in a position to make a deep run, which hopefully culminates in winning the Stanley Cup championship. Provide the ultimate in-game fan experience. When you go to the United Center and people experience a Chicago Blackhawks hockey game, they walk out of that arena and they say to themselves, I've never experienced anything like that before. Humanizing our players, making sure that they have a relationship with our fans, that we go beyond the player in uniform, learn a little bit more about their player and their families. High-quality broadcasts as we communicate our product to these fans. Consistent excellence and improving every day. We're not satisfied. We're not satisfied. Stan and I talk about this all the time. We're very bad celebrators. I can't speak for Joe, but Stan and I are very bad celebrators because it's always on to the next task at hand. So that is a synopsis, that is a summary of where we are, what I'm looking forward to for the 2015-2016 Chicago Blackhawks. And with that, I will turn it back over to Brandon Faber.
Thank you, John. I'll turn it over to Stan for an opening statement here. Stan, go ahead, please.
Thanks, Brandon, and thank you, John, for those remarks. I'd like to start off by saying we're very excited to be back here at Notre Dame. I can speak from a personal perspective. As a graduate of the university, it's a special moment for me to come back to the place where I spent 4 great years of my life, and you see some familiar faces, and you remember the great times you had here, and more recently we remember back to the seasons, the last 2 years when we've started our Blackhawks training camp here, and there's a lot of people would like to acknowledge. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the university for hosting us here, and in particular the hockey team, Coach Jackson and his group for turning over their facility here. You know, in talking to our players, I know they enjoyed coming back here. It's a first-class operation, and it's a great place for us to get things going for the season. So, also, I'd like John mentioned a word about Rocky Wirtz, and I would be remiss if I didn't, you know, comment on the importance that he's played in this turnaround and the continued, you know, goal that we have to get better every day. You know, I've been around the Blackhawks for 15 years now, and I've seen it a couple different ways. And when Rocky took over and brought in John, you know, things really changed course. So, you know, we're fortunate to be with so many great people like that. You know, the main thing that we're here for is to prepare for our season. And John referenced you know, the great ending that we had at home in front of our fans in June. And you think back to that day, and you know that's why we do this. And you know, I had some comments to our team as we opened camp, and you know, the one thing that we all have to, you know, really focus on is this is why we do this. Is we play to win, and the players have chosen hockey as a career, and we've all chosen this as our careers as well, and we put our life into this, and you know, it's not easy. And what I mean is, when you're a team that's had some success, it's difficult. You face challenges every year, and we know it's going to be a battle this year, just like it was last year. So, you know, we have to start this camp off right, and we have to prepare for our season. We know nothing's going to be handed to us. We've got to earn everything. But there's a lot of exciting things as you look at our team. We've got a lot of familiar faces back. Guys that have won a couple Stanley Cups. Some of them have won 3. And, you know, we've got a group of guys that understand how to win, and they've been through this. But we also have some new faces, and I think you can break those down into a couple categories. We've got some young players from Rockford that are knocking on the door trying to be a full-time member of the team. We've acquired some new players in trades. And we've got some veteran players who are coming in here on a tryout basis to show us what they can do. So we're going to have some new faces on the team, and that's exciting to me. You know, I love the fact that we have the nucleus of our team coming back, but I like also that we're going to have some new faces, and they bring some excitement. They weren't here last year, and they want to win. They want to be part of you know, the experience of having that ultimate success. So. Hopefully they're going to provide us that spark and bring some new energy to the group. So I like what we have here, but it's time to get to work. And with that, thank you.
Thank you, Stan. Joel, just opening comments from you.
Real brief. Hey, it's great to be back here at Notre Dame. I just want to wish the football team good luck on Saturday. Looking forward to going to the game. Just I am looking forward to getting on the ice tomorrow. Last night we had a good meeting. It was great seeing all the guys back together again. We had an announcement last night. We announced that Brent Seabrook was going to be our new captain. And I was looking at the guys, and as I was talking, I was looking. I never seen such an attentive group in all my life in our pregame meeting to start the regular season or the preseason. And I was wondering why everybody was so alert, because I didn't know half the guys. It's a lot of new faces and a lot of different guys, and it was something to look forward to as we go approach the ice tomorrow. And a lot of faces and a lot of things that can change over time. But I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of new players and seeing how they can really help our team and give us a lot of options and a lot of fresh looks. And I'm looking forward to that as well, and excitement of being around Notre Dame for the weekend as well. So we'll turn it over to questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Just as a reminder, we would like for you to please raise your hand, wait for a mic to come around, state your name and affiliation, and also another reminder, please respect that due to the ongoing legal matter, John, Stan, Joel are not at liberty to answer questions about the ongoing legal matter. We're going to take questions as it relates to hockey. We'll go ahead and get started here to the right. Chris?
This question's for John McDonough. Chris Hine from the Chicago Tribune. John, you mentioned before that you would talk to Patrick's lawyers. Is having him suit up in a Hawks uniform, is that an endorsement that you think he's innocent? And what do you say to women's groups or female fans of yours that think you're condoning what he did potentially by having him suit up for you?
I'm really not at liberty to comment. As Brandon had mentioned, this is an ongoing legal process. Out of respect to that, that is something we can address at another time.
Me? Okay. Rich King, WGN TV. Joe? Me?
Go ahead, Rich. Yeah.
Yeah. Difficult to win 2 titles. You guys have won 3 titles. A lot of stuff happened in the offseason. Not about Patrick, but in general. When you handle a team going into a camp, there's issues of any kind. How do you motivate them? How do you get them going, especially after all the titles you've won?
Well, we've got an exciting group, and you look at the leadership, and it starts there. And I think that coming into camp here, you get everybody together. You get a collection of new players coming to your organization. There's going to be a lot of competition for jobs. There's going to be competitions internally for ice time. I think those are great motivators. And then trying to make that club from the get-go certainly creates an environment where we want to see ourselves get better every day. We want to get throughout camp. We want to gather some enthusiasm because we know once the season starts, teams are going to be ready for us like they've never been ready, and we know the importance of getting off to big starts and how that can set yourself up for a whole season. So that's how I see the importance of this training camp. We certainly got a lot of decisions to make. We got a lot of opportunity. The evaluation process and see how that plays out is going to be fun to see how it all works out.
On the right here, Chris.
For John McDonough, Chris Cook of the Chicago Tribune. John, I want to ask you about the legal proceedings, but what was your reaction when you heard that Patrick Kane had run into the legal proceedings?
Chris, I think we're going to stay consistent here out of respect to the legal process. We're just not in a position right now. There will be a time and place to address all of that. It's not going to be today.
On the left, David.
John, David Hoff from the Tribune. At the risk of being redundant, I mean, you talk about being a consistent organization. You've consistently been transparent with situations like this controversy. So, I mean, can you speak to at least or characterize how the last month has been for an organization that has been in this difficult dilemma, and how you reached the conclusion to bring a superstar in Chicago in front of us today to say essentially nothing?
Well, David, that's the assessment you have to make, that we would bring him in front of you to say nothing. We're in the midst of an ongoing legal issue. And as you can imagine, we take a lot of time to weigh these decisions. A lot of people weigh in on these decisions. And for me to expound on anything at this point wouldn't be appropriate on that, David.
On the right here, John.
John Dietz from the Daily Herald. If things were to progress and Patrick were to be indicted, would you have to again reevaluate your decision on where he stands with the team?
We would evaluate that, John, at that time.
Right behind you, to Mike, please.
Question for John. Mike Harrington from the Buffalo News. John, you were characterized as, quote, volcanically outraged in a recent Chicago Sun-Times column about this entire distraction. Your statement today, I think many people would say, comes off as very tone-deaf given the circumstances surrounding the team right now. Would you agree that that was the characterization, that would be an accurate characterization of how you felt? And secondly, having nothing to do with the legal situation, are you as an organization going to recommend Patrick Kane get alcohol counseling given the nature of previous incidents?
Well, I can assure you that I am anything but tone deaf. And I can also assure you that whatever the reference was about a volcanic eruption, which I read at the same time, was a complete fabrication.
On the left here?
What about the alcohol?
We will deal with that at the appropriate time.
On the left, go ahead.
Joel, what did you, when you addressed the team, what did you say to them about the situation, about how to handle it, how you want them to handle this, and was there any way in particular that you addressed how they should be dealing with this process outside of Patrick himself?
We had a normal meeting last night. We addressed how we always go into training camp. We went over our rules. We went over our scheduling. We went over our goals in the coming training camp and the coming season. So that's what we talked about.
Back right.
Pete Gallivan from Channel 2 in Buffalo. Question for Stan. the week that the allegation surfaced, the Stanley Cup came to your father's house, came to Patrick's house. You talked about a short summer and what a summer that should have been a summer of celebration. Do you think that just this distraction of these allegations and these issues, legal aside, did it put some tarnish on the Cup for you?
Thanks for the question. I appreciate it, and I know you know that we've got a lot of people asking sort of similar questions in different words, and you know we've made our statement regarding this topic, and I'm not going to veer off of that. But I understand where everyone's coming from. There's a lot of people here that have sort of similar thoughts, phrased differently, but we're going to stay consistent.
Dion.
Joel, your teams have dealt with off-ice distractions before and been able to really focus in on hockey. Is that something that you credit to them? Is that
whatever they can to max out in that situation is as good as I've ever seen. The leadership group leads the charge in that area, and you know, I think you know, in all situations, you know, they find a way to overcome any obstacle, and where it's never even a concern when you go into a hockey game.
In the back,
Mr. McDonough, Stacey St. Clair at the Chicago Tribune. You said it in your opening statement that the team had conferred with Patrick's attorneys. Did they confer with anybody else, law enforcement or the accuser's attorney? I mean, how do you know that you have the complete picture of what's been accused?
We had conversations with Patrick's legal representatives. I do not know who else they've been in contact with. I would imagine it's been thorough and comprehensive. I do know we were in touch with them.
Ryan, we'll get you a mic here.
Again, Ryan Baker from CBS 2 Chicago. As head coaches, general manager, president, have you reached a point to saying enough is enough in terms of your patience being tested, of dealing? You say you deal with stuff all the time, but nothing to this magnitude. If you have a history of, you know, missteps and bad decisions, how do you reach a point to say that this is enough and to still have the patience to continue to deal with? How do you do that?
Ryan, I will say this hasn't been an easy situation for any of us to deal with. It's been a challenging summer. This has weighed on all of us. We're doing the best we can within the framework of what we can talk about today. I know people in this room understand that there's an ongoing legal investigation currently going on. And out of respect to that is, I will give you that.
Chris, on the right here.
Joel, this is for you. It's Chris Cook of the Chicago Tribune. How much would you rather be talking or answering questions about hockey and not what's going on here? And how can you separate what's going on here today and what's been happening the last month or so?
I'm only answering hockey questions, so I'm fine.
Do you think the team will be affected on the ice by what's going on here?
I think we'll be fine.
You got time for two more, Brian?
John McDonough, this is Brian Sandlow from the Sun-Times. If Patrick Kane were a fourth liner, scored 20, 25 points a game, would he be here right now?
I'm really not going to address hypotheticals.
Sam, last question.
Joel, Sam Penianovich, WGN. Is this your toughest coaching job ahead of you? You've lost about 10 guys on the roster, 88 up in the air, obviously, and you've won 3 cups here, but this looks to be an uphill climb.
Well, I look back to 2010, and I think that we lost, I would almost say, half a team. And some significant pieces of that team were not a part of it to begin that year, and we got off to an ordinary start. This year, we've definitely lost, you could say, 3 or 4 key pieces to our team that were a part of it, that had meaningful contributions. We felt that the guys that are coming in this year bring something where they could fit in key positions and can make a difference, and that's what we're looking forward to going into this training camp, where we can find out and get excited about going into the season. But we did say that we're never going to get tested like we're going to be when we begin the season. We welcome that challenge. And at the end of the day, I think the know-how of knowing how to win hockey games is in place with a lot of our key personnel. And that key group is in place, and these guys have an amazing appetite for winning, and that's what we look forward to.
Thank you three very much. We'll take just a minute here. We'll bring in our three team captains here momentarily and get started with the Q&A with them. Just 1 minute, please. Thank you. It's going. It's just this. Alrighty. Like we did before, we'll get started here with an opening statement from our team captain, Jonathan Taves. Johnny, go ahead and kick it off.
Thanks, Brennan. First of all, I just want to thank all you guys for coming out here today and mostly express mine and our excitement, the players that are here this weekend, to get back into another season and be around each other again. Obviously, we all know it's a quick off season, goes by fast, but when we do get the chance to come back here and be around each other and get back into the routine again, it's always fun. First off, obviously want to congratulate Siebes on being the newly appointed captain. For many years, he's been one of those guys I've looked up to and learned from, especially being a great friend and a great teammate. And obviously, it's great for him to be recognized with a letter on his sweater. We know that won't change the way he does things, but he's been one of those leaders that has been a huge part of our locker room and our success on the ice throughout that whole time. So it's great to have him on board with an A on his sweaters. And other than that, looking forward to getting back into training camp here, like I said, with the guys, and a lot of fun here. Looking forward to the football game again tomorrow night. Other than that, excited to answer some questions about hockey today. So thank you.
Just as a reminder, we would like you to raise your hand. We'll get you a wireless mic. Please state your name and affiliation. And with the ongoing legal matter, we are not going to take questions other than those that pertain to hockey. We'll get started here in the front with Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Jonathan, Chris Cook of the Tribune, Chicago here, and if you guys want to chime in as well, Duncan and Brent. I know that you're excited about